the Naval Battle of Guadalcanal. The date is November 13th, 1942. It's just after 1 a.m., and an American naval fleet is sailing in complete darkness. The ships are hunting for a Japanese force that intelligence says is heading toward Guadalcanal to bombard the Marines on shore. Rear Admiral Daniel Callahan commands the American task force from the heavy cruiser USS San Francisco. His force includes 5 cruisers and 8 destroyers. Among them is the brand new anti-aircraft cruiser USS Atlanta with Rear Admiral Norman Scott on board. Now, the Americans have radar, which should give them the advantage in a night battle. But Callahan doesn't quite trust the new technology, so he's not paying close attention to the radar reports coming from his ships. Then, just after 1:30 a.m., the lookout spots something, Japanese ships, and lots of them, at very close range. Some are less than 3,000 yards away, at naval ranges that might as well be point blank. What follows is absolute chaos. Ships on both sides open fire at almost the same moment. Searchlights flick on, illuminating targets, but most are quickly shot out by gunfire. While this is happening, the anti-aircraft cruiser USS Atlanta finds herself in the worst possible position, caught right between the Japanese fleet and her own forces. In the darkness and confusion, she becomes an easy target for everyone. Japanese destroyers riddle the boat with torpedoes and gunfire, while the USS San Francisco, Callahan's flagship, spots Atlanta illuminated by searchlights and mistakes her for a Japanese cruiser. San Francisco opens fire with her 8-inch guns at point-blank range. The shells tear through Atlanta like it's nothing. One salvo after another slams into the cruiser. The bridge takes multiple direct hits, instantly killing Admiral Norman Scott and seriously wounding the nearby captain. The ship's navigation equipment is destroyed. Fire control systems are obliterated, and bodies are piling up under the deck. Atlanta is now dead in the water, on fire, and taking hits from both sides. Her crew fights desperately to save the ship, battling fires and flooding. Some compartments are even sealed off with men still inside, sacrificed to keep the ship afloat. The battle rages for 45 minutes of pure hell, and when it finally ends, both sides have taken a beating. The Japanese retreat, but not before inflicting heavy casualties. They managed to land a direct hit on USS San Francisco's bridge as well, killing Admiral Callahan. It's the only time in all of World War II where multiple admirals would die in the same battle. For Atlanta, the damage is catastrophic. She's leaning heavily on one side, and water is flooding multiple compartments. Captain Jenkins, despite his wounds, stays with his ship, trying to save her. The crew works through the night, but by morning, it's quite clear that Atlanta is doomed. At dawn, Jenkins orders his crew to abandon ship. Destroyers come alongside to take off the survivors. The wounded are lowered first, then the rest of the crew. Jenkins is the last man off, as tradition demands. A friendly destroyer then fires torpedoes into Atlanta's hull, sending her to the bottom to avoid enemy capture. She disappears beneath the waves with 172 of her crew still aboard, either killed in the battle or trapped in sealed compartments. The Battle of Guadalcanal was ultimately an Allied victory, as the Japanese were forced to retreat, and the Marines on Guadalcanal were saved from the planned bombardment. But the cost was still devastating. Over 1,400 American sailors were killed, many of whom were from friendly fire. Operation Cottage. August 15th, 1943, the Aleutian Islands, Alaska. The Japanese have occupied the island of Kiska for over a year, and intelligence reports indicate that over 5,000 Japanese troops are dug in deep, so the U.S. and Canadian forces prepare a massive invasion totaling 34,426 troops. For weeks, battleships and bombers pound the island with explosives. By invasion day, Kiska had been hit with more ordnance than in some major battles. The invasion force lands and storms the beaches with their weapons drawn, expecting incoming fire at any moment. But the beaches are quiet, not one gunshot. So the troops push inland, moving cautiously through the fog. They can barely see 50 feet ahead. Then one soldier spots movement through the haze and fires. Others see the muzzle flash and open up fire too. Suddenly, hundreds of men are shooting at shadows in the mist, but they're not shooting at Japanese soldiers. They're just shooting each other. Canadian forces on one side of the island hear gunfire and assume it's the Japanese engaging American forces. They move toward the sound and start shooting at what they think are enemy positions. But they're American positions. Meanwhile, American forces see muzzle flashes in the fog and return fire. They think they're fighting the Japanese when they're really fighting Canadians. By the time officers finally get control of their units and realize what's happening, the damage is done. Over 30 are dead and 50 more wounded on each side, all from friendly fire. Now here's the thing, the Japanese aren't on Kiska at all. They hadn't been there for weeks. Under the cover of fog on July 28th, more than 2 weeks before the invasion, the entire Japanese garrison evacuated. They used the same fog that hindered the Allies to sneak out without ever being seen. Over 5,000 soldiers left without a trace. So the Allied forces were literally fighting an empty island. But the casualties don't end there. 3 days later, the destroyer, USS Abner Reed, hit a Japanese mine in the harbor. The explosion tears off the ship's stern, killing 71 sailors and wounding 47 more. When the final tally comes in, Operation Cottage has resulted in over 300 Allied casualties, 32 men killed in action, over 500 wounded or sick, and the destroyer crew adds 71 more dead. It's one of the most embarrassing episodes of the Pacific War by far. An entire invasion force, thousands upon thousands of troops, fighting and dying on an empty island. Bari, the Second Pearl Harbor. December 2nd, 1943. The Italian port of Bari is packed with Allied ships, a critical supply hub with over 30 vessels docked. It's the evening and most crews are relaxing. The port hasn't seen action in weeks. So, when air raid sirens go off around 7:30 p.m., nobody takes them seriously. But it's not a false alarm. Over 100 German Junkers, or Ju-88 bombers, come in low and fast, catching the port completely off guard. The first bombs hit at 7:35 p.m., and within minutes, ships are burning, exploding, and sinking. But one specific ship takes a direct hit, the SS John Harvey. The John Harvey is an American Liberty ship, and she's carrying a secret cargo, a cargo that not even the port workers know about, except the captain and a handful of officers. In her hold are 2,000 M47A1 mustard gas bombs, over 100 tons of chemical weapons. So you see, the United States had brought these chemical weapons to Europe as a deterrent, a retaliation option in case the Germans used gas first, but they've kept it a secret since mustard gas was technically banned under international law at the time. So John Harvey's cargo manifest just listed the bombs as special ammunition. When the German bombs hit the John Harvey, she explodes in a massive fireball. The mustard gas bombs rupture, releasing their liquid contents into the harbor. The chemicals mix with the burning fuel oil floating on the water's surface, creating a toxic soup. Men are in the water everywhere, swimming away from their sinking ships, trying to reach shore. They're covered in this oily mixture, but they don't know what it is. It doesn't burn like regular oil. This stuff is way thicker. By the time the German bombers leave, 17 ships have been sunk or destroyed, and 5 more are damaged beyond repair. Over 1,000 Allied merchant seamen and military personnel are dead or wounded. But the worst part is only just beginning. Within hours, men start showing up at hospitals with bizarre symptoms, severe skin burns and blistering, but not the kind you get from the usual fire or hot water. Their eyes are swollen shut, they're coughing up blood, and some are even going blind. The doctors are baffled. These don't look like normal burn victims. The symptoms don't match anything they've seen. And because the mustard gas is kept a secret, nobody can tell the medical staff what they're actually dealing with. So the victims are officially listed as suffering from burns due to enemy action. Meanwhile, hundreds of Italian civilians who were near the harbor are also getting sick. The gas cloud had drifted over parts of the city, and children are showing up at hospitals with the same mysterious symptoms. But finally, 5 days after the attack, a chemical warfare expert named Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Francis Alexander arrives. He's been sent to investigate rumors of chemical exposure. Alexander quickly realizes what had happened. He identifies the symptoms as mustard gas poisoning and gets the word out to every hospital in the area. With proper treatment protocols finally in place, survival rates improve. But it's already far too late for many. The official death toll lists 628 servicemen hospitalized with mustard gas poisoning, with 83 dying from the effects. The actual number of civilian casualties is unknown, but it's estimated to be in the thousands. Many Italian civilians never sought treatment, either dying at home or suffering permanent injuries. But there is one strange silver lining to this tragedy. Dr. Alexander's detailed observations of the mustard gas victims would accidentally go on to advance cancer research. He noted that the gas destroys white blood cells, and this observation would ultimately lead to the development of the first chemotherapy drugs using similar compounds to target cancer cells.